in the heart of a small but bustling town of Bungoma in Kenya, amidst the pleasing and harmonious sounds of rural life, there stands a figure unlike any other, a man of a striking presence, with eyes that seem to hold the wisdom of centuries and a voice that carries the weight of the world. His skin, the deepest shade of ebony, bore the masks of a life lived under the unforgiving sun, and his hair, a crown of tightly coiled black and grey curls, framed his face like a halo. Wait, that does sound like Jesus. Black Jesus, to be specific. Actually, there is a black Jesus in Kenya. They call him Yesu in the vernacular. Meet the man who is followed by hundreds of thousands of people. Some sources have claimed that over 1 million people actually follow this man. Meet Jesus Christ of Tongerana, Kenya, a man who claims to be the biblical Jesus Christ, and some actually believe in him. Well, we know that Michael Jordan was called Black Jesus in his days.
I used to ask him, what's it like to guard Mike? You go, Mike? You mean Black Jesus? I'm like, what the?
Some people called Tupac Black Jesus.
3, 4, 5. You know what I mean? And I got crucified to the media.
And yet other scholars have made their mission to let us know that Jesus was black, or is black.
You know, Jesus was Mediterranean. The Discovery Channel earlier this year did a digitized picture of what Jesus probably looked like, and the image was very different than what the traditional media-generated image of Jesus has been. He was most likely dark-skinned, correct?
Of course, the image of the blue-eyed, blonde-haired Jesus that is on many walls and even in many black churches is not even historically correct. We believe that the person that the world called Jesus, and his real name was actually Yeshua. The white man actually named him Jesus.
Right.
We believe he was a black man.
So, who knows? Maybe you and I will be convinced that Jesus indeed has returned and is in Kenya. Now let us look at the evidence. Let us look at this story a bit further. But before we do that, welcome to African Boss, and you're with me, Yao Bantu. Please do not forget to subscribe. Would be good to get to 10,000 subscribers. We're nearly 4,000. It's a journey. We'll get there, but it will be nice with some help. But let us investigate this rather interesting story, shall we? But first, here is the reason why I'm bringing up this story as we are approaching Easter. There is a good reason for it, because around Easter, Black Jesus starts to worry. You ask why? As you know, Easter is observed and celebrated by millions of Christians worldwide. It is the time that we remember and observe the crucifixion and resurrection of Jesus Christ according to biblical teachings. Now, here is the worry for Black Jesus. Recently, this is only last year, curious Kenyans have been left to wonder, what if Eliud Simui, the self-proclaimed Jesus of Tongerana from Bungoma, could face the same fate? If you were raised as a Christian, or if you know the story, you are aware that Jesus Christ faced immense suffering during his arrest by the Pharisees, and this culminated in what is known as the Passion of Christ, which included his crucifixion, death, resurrection, and ascension to heaven. Oh. Now, last year, curious Kenyans were really diabolical Kenyans. Some of them would be the most appropriate word, I reckon, plotted an evil plan which forced Eliud Simui, the self-proclaimed Messiah, to take up residence in the local police station, reportedly fearing for his life, as rumors circulated that locals were planning to give him the ultimate Easter surprise: crucifixion. Yes, you heard me right. They wanted to crucify the man. It's not funny. It's really not funny. I mean, why? Why would you want to voluntarily crucify someone? It seems that the town's residents are not quite convinced by his claims of divine authority, and they're eager to put his alleged powers to the test. Whether or not Eliud will rise again from the dead like his namesake, it remains to be seen. So that's why they want to find out, apparently. But I really don't think it's something that we should be keen to find out. Yeah. If he's been already crucified, why then would you want to crucify Jesus again? So that he should know it. Anyway, recently, Drew Belensky, the YouTuber, asked him about this.
On the internet, people say they want to crucify you.
When you read the book of Hebrews, that is not good to crucify me.
So you don't want to be crucified?
That is not good. It happens when I was there in the Middle East.
Obviously, the man is not keen to be crucified. You can hear the terror from his voice when he talks about it. It's like he's been through it. Oh wait, he has. Actually, he says he's been through it. To be fair, Jesus wasn't keen on crucifixion either. But obviously, it was preordained and he had no choice. Oh, sorry. So, I guess, you know, this Jesus knows what it is like to be crucified. Maybe that explains the terror in his voice, because he's like, no, I don't want to be crucified. Once was enough. Assuming that he is the real Jesus. So far, we haven't got the evidence that he's not. Let us go deep into the story.
Jesus asked for a goat, so I'm gonna get him a goat. This one right here in the white.
I've got the goat. Hey, thanks for paying goat.
No problem. Enjoy the goat.
Now that seems to be happy about the goat. You know, everyone would be happy to have a goat.
Nimeenda Iran.
His spirit went to Iran.
Nimekuwa kule India.
He's went to India.
Nimezunguka miji ya New Delhi, Mumbai,
New Delhi.
What about North Korea?
Pakistan.
Na North Korea pia
North Korea, South Korea, nimeenda Iraq.
He went to Iraq.
Pia tumekuwa Afghanistan.
You're naming like all my favorite countries that I visited.
Kuna sababu.
There's a reason why you visited those countries.
And yes, apparently he's been around the world. I think Drew should have asked him how those places look like, given that Drew has been all over the world. He said, which part of Russia and how does it look like? Could I be saying, man, well, I don't know, who knows? He might have, you know, given the correct impression of it. But Simeon's followers have rallied around him. He's got even 12 disciples. He's got the whole thing, insisting that he is the real deal and that he will rise again on the third day if he gets crucified. You know, if they were my followers, I'd be like, no, I don't want, no, just no. We don't want that conversation at all. But the naysayers are having none of it. They have accused him of being a fraud and a danger to society. In an interview with local news, Simiyu, or Black Jesus, denied the allegations, saying, I am not a false prophet. I am the real Jesus Christ and I'm here to save the world. Who is Eliud Simiyu, Yesu of Tengeron, Kenya? Let us find out, shall we? There could be similarities between his story and Jesus Christ, maybe, and then maybe, you know, who knows, we might be convinced that he is the real deal. Born in 1981, Mr. Simiyu's, oh, he's only young, Mr. Simiyu's parents, Francis and Cecilia Simiyu, passed away during his childhood. That's sad. May their souls rest in peace. He was raised Catholic. Was Jesus Catholic? Well, look, he could have been Catholic. Who knows? And he received his primary education. He went to primary school. He actually did go to primary education at Mukuyu Primary School in Tongara in Bungoma County. So he's born in that town. You know, I hope he's not one of those people who have just was born in this little town and they do not want to leave that town. But actually, he said he's been all over the world anyway, Russia and, you know, whatever, you name it. Well, actually, it's Jesus. What am I talking about? He's been everywhere. He's everywhere. Well, I'm just thinking, if you are Jesus and going to school at that time, but he could write, wasn't it? He could write. Remember when he said if he wrote on the ground, people were trying to stone this woman who was accused of adultery, and he wrote on the ground. So, you know, there were schools at that time. But I wonder how teaching Jesus could be like. Could be like the genius of the class in there. Like, oh my God, I don't want to teach that boy. He just knows everything. You know, like, just imagine that. You know. But this Jesus discontinued his education and pursued farming instead. Jesus was like, nah, I had enough of school. It's too hard. No, Jesus could, nah, he would not have. Maybe he was just one of those, like, you know, like these modern tech guys. They quit university and they just start these tech startups. You know, they blow up to be these huge companies. Maybe that was the thought. You know, how would teaching Jesus? I'm really, really wondering. You know, it just got me thinking. He would just know everything. In 2001, at the age of 20, he got married. So far, I'm not really seeing any similarities. He got married at 20 years old. Jesus never got married, you know. And he was actually born of the Virgin Mary. So this is just pushing it a bit too far. Because, you know, Jesus wouldn't do things in a marriage, and now has 8 children. You see, now he's got 8 kids. As I was saying, Jesus, you wouldn't, yeah, no, that's blasphemous. I don't know. I don't want to even talk about it. Jesus's eldest son is currently studying at Technical College in Kiumbu County, while his second child, a daughter, is set to join universities. Doing well, the kids, you know, for sure. But yeah, that's a good. What do you think? Would Jesus get married and have kids? According to his neighbors in 2009, Mr. Simiyu was struck in the head. What? Okay, now we know. During a family dispute. Oh, that's vicious. And taken to the hospital for treatment. So I wonder what, you know, how hard was the blow, the impact of the blow. It doesn't say. It just says was struck in the head. With what? You know. So we want to know the mechanism of injury, you know. We can make a good I was gonna say diagnosis, but you know, so we can make a good determination of what happened there. Following his release from hospital, he began preaching. It's just this experience. So was that the head injury then, isn't it? If you're like a medical person, I guess you'd be thinking definitely that explains it. Because you go in the hospital with a head injury, you come back and you start preaching. Well, you're not preaching before. So anyway, there is a possibility that he does all this because of a brain injury. It's a good explanation. But he started asserting himself to be the Jesus, demonstrating miraculous abilities ever since he announced himself as a divine being. But he doesn't say what sort of miracles he were done. During an interview with NTV, that's a Kenyan station, the wife of the man asserted that her husband converted water into copious amount of tea. That was savored by the villagers, and some even took some home. God, Jesus. Oh, sorry. I should not mention the name of Jesus in vain, but oh. So he turned water into tea. Why tea? Do you remember Jesus turned water into wine? What was the circumstance of that? I think that was his first miracle, wasn't it? He was at a wedding, and then did they run out of wine? And then he turned water into wine, and people were like, wow, you are something special. So similarly, in this man, there was no tea. He just says, well, copious amounts of tea. Apparently it was some beautiful tea. Some people took the tea home because God. Oh my goodness. Right. But you know what, prophets and everybody, they do so many miracles these days, or claim to do miracles, isn't it? Like a lot of people do that. But we haven't actually seen people turning things into water or whatever. The woman has asserted that her family was ostracized in the village due to her husband's claims that he is Jesus. Of course, I think that's fair enough. I don't think people would just be like, oh yeah, you are Jesus. People would take that seriously, you know. They'll be like, nah, don't go there a bit, you know. You don't want to be part of it. So yes, of course, you're going to stand out in the community. His wife, identified as Prophet Benjamin, yeah, I think she's one of the 12 disciples, if I'm not mistaken, had previously claimed that her husband had the power to heal the sick and perform other miracles. He's got TV, everything. I mean, Jesus got TV. Eliud Simwe has been arrested before for various charges relating to running a cult. Well, I think it is safe to say that the man is not Jesus Christ. I'm not convinced. So the wait continues, people. But please do not crucify him as Easter approaches. You can't crucify people voluntarily. Like, it's against the law in the first place. I mean, really, I know that he claims to be Jesus, but there is no reason why we should try. Because Jesus has already been crucified once, even if he was the real Jesus, which he's not, we know that, but it does not justify that. I wonder whether he's already made arrangements with the police. But jokes aside, usually cults end in tragedy. The starvation cult in Kenya is one recent example. While the Jesus of Tongaren seems harmless for now, one thing that history has taught us is that we should not take these cults lightly. One day, we might wake up to a nightmare in Bungoma.